Three bottles sit on your counter right now: collagen, calcium, and magnesium. You spend $50 to $80 a month refilling them. But one plant, a plant most people call a weed, delivers the building blocks for all three. You have probably walked past it this week. And at the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is, why nobody told you, and how to grow it forever in a single pot. Let us talk about what those three bottles are actually costing you. A tub of collagen powder runs $25 to $45 depending on the brand. Calcium tablets, another $10 to $15. Magnesium, $12 to $18 on top of that. Add it up over 12 months, and you are somewhere around $900 a year leaving your household. All to maintain a routine most people never stop to question. The global collagen market alone crossed $10 billion in 2024, and it is accelerating fast. Somebody is making enormous money from this daily habit. But here is the part that should make you uncomfortable. A large portion of the research behind collagen supplements is funded by the same companies selling them. That does not mean the studies are fake, but it does mean the people paying for them have an obvious interest in a positive result. On top of that, the FDA does not review dietary supplements for safety or effectiveness before they reach store shelves. That shiny bottle sitting next to your coffee maker was never verified by anyone before it was sold to you. Walk down the supplement aisle at any pharmacy in this country, and you will see rows and rows of bottles making promises that no one is required to prove. Now here is where it gets really interesting. Most people believe that swallowing collagen powder means their body takes that collagen and delivers it straight to their skin, their hair, their joints. That is not how it works. Your digestive system breaks ingested collagen down into basic amino acids. Then your body has to rebuild new collagen from scratch using raw materials. The fundamental building blocks your body needs are specific amino acids like glycine and proline, alongside vital cofactors like vitamin C and copper to help knit them together. What your body actually needs is not pre-made collagen from a jar. It needs the building blocks to manufacture its own, and those building blocks grow in the ground. The same issue applies to calcium and magnesium tablets. Calcium carbonate packed inside a pill is not the same as calcium woven into a living plant alongside vitamin K, magnesium, and the dozens of cofactors that help your bones absorb it. Isolated minerals in tablet form often pass straight through the body without being fully used. So what if there was a single plant that gave your body everything it needs to build collagen, delivered calcium in a form your bones actually recognize, and loaded you with magnesium at the same time, all from something that grows itself on your porch and costs you nothing after the first bag of soil? This plant has been around for thousands of years. It grows wild across every temperate continent, including North America, Europe, Asia, and North Africa. You will find it along fence lines and at the edges of forests, in neglected ditches, pushing through cracked soil that nobody has touched in years. It is a perennial, meaning it dies back every winter and returns on its own every spring without you doing anything. Archaeologists working in Denmark uncovered textiles made from this plant's fibers inside a Bronze Age burial mound dating back nearly 3,000 years. These were not rough, primitive fabrics. Researchers who examined the weave described the quality as comparable to raw silk. While most of Europe was cultivating flax for linen, communities in Central Europe were already harvesting this wild plant and trading it for clothing. The Romans knew about it too. When Julius Caesar sent his legions north into the cold, damp frontier territories of Gaul and Britain, his soldiers reportedly rubbed themselves with this plant. The sting triggered blood flow beneath the skin and kept the men warm and alert through freezing nights on campaign. Greek physicians used it to treat joint swelling and inflammation. Medieval healers across Europe brewed it to purify blood and support kidney function. Native American tribes from the Pacific Northwest to the Great Plains used it for respiratory problems and seasonal allergies. Then modern agriculture arrived. Monoculture farming swept across the American Midwest and the Great Plains. Chemical companies in places like Wilmington, Delaware, and Basel, Switzerland began selling synthetic fertilizers and herbicides to farmers across the world. And this deeply useful, centuries-old plant quietly got reclassified. It stopped being food. It stopped being medicine. It became just another weed, something to spray, pull, and throw away. Today, millions of gardeners across the United States and Canada rip it from their yards every single spring and toss it in the trash without ever knowing what they just lost. The plant I'm talking about is one you almost certainly know by pain, not by name. And in a moment, you will understand why that sting was actually protecting the most valuable thing in your garden. The plant is stinging nettle, Urtica dioica, that sharp, burning weed you curse every time it brushes against your ankle in the garden, the one you yank out with thick gloves and throw in the compost pile without a second thought. The sting comes from tiny, hollow hairs covering the leaves and stems. Those hairs are actually made of silica, forming microscopic glass needles. When you brush against them, their brittle tips snap off, injecting a burning cocktail of formic acid, histamine, acetylcholine, and serotonin directly under your skin. And here's the part that should stop you. That very same silica, the mineral this plant uses to build its stinging defense, is one of the most important compounds your body needs to produce collagen. The thing that made you avoid this plant all these years is the exact thing that makes it so valuable. If you have ever grabbed one of these by accident while weeding your flower beds, you ripped out your calcium, your magnesium, your collagen building blocks, all in one handful. Here are the numbers. 100 grams of fresh nettle leaves contain roughly 590 milligrams of calcium, 86 milligrams of magnesium, 670 milligrams of potassium, and 4.4 milligrams of iron. Protein makes up about 30% of the dried weight, and the silica and vitamin C found naturally in the leaves are exactly the cofactors your body uses to build collagen from the ground up. This is not a supplement. It is a complete food that humans have been eating for thousands of years. Let us start with the calcium because the numbers here are hard to walk away from. 590 milligrams per 100 grams of fresh leaf. For comparison, whole milk contains about 125 milligrams per 100 grams. Picture a glass of milk sitting on your kitchen table. Fresh nettle has nearly 5 times more calcium than that glass. But the real advantage is not just the quantity, it is the delivery system. Inside a living plant, calcium exists within a natural matrix surrounded by vitamin K, magnesium, and vitamin C. Your body evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to absorb minerals packaged exactly this way. A calcium carbonate tablet gives you the mineral but strips away all the biological context. And without that context, much of it simply passes through. The magnesium is equally impressive, 86 milligrams per 100 grams fresh, and that number concentrates significantly when the leaves are dried. Minerals account for roughly 20% of the total dry mass. Magnesium drives over 300 enzymatic processes in the human body. It affects your muscles, your nerves, your blood sugar, your bone density, and yet most adults across the United States and Western Europe are chronically low on it. Nettle does not hand you magnesium in isolation. It delivers magnesium right alongside calcium, which is exactly how your skeleton prefers to receive both. Beyond those two, the leaves carry potassium, phosphorus, iron, sulfur, zinc, manganese, copper, and beta-carotene. The vitamin A content alone can cover nearly your entire daily requirement. This is a full mineral panel packed into a single leaf that grows wild on the side of the road. And none of this is new knowledge. In mountain villages across Nepal, families still cook nettle soup every winter as a household staple. In the Polish countryside, foragers never stopped harvesting it. Across rural Italy and Serbia, nettle shows up on dinner tables every spring as a cooked green. Across various parts of Europe, Asia, and North America, related wild greens and traditional infusions have been relied on for generations. In parts of Britain, nettle soup has been a countryside tradition for centuries, and people still make it today. Across Mexico, Vietnam, and India, this plant has been used continuously for generations. Half the world never forgot what nettle was. The other half just stopped paying attention and started buying bottles instead. But the calcium and the magnesium, as impressive as they are not even the most remarkable part of this story. The real revelation is what nettle does for collagen. And this is where the supplement industry really does not want you looking too closely. Stinging nettle does not contain collagen. No plant does. Collagen is an animal protein. But here is what the supplement industry skips right over in its marketing. Your body does not absorb a scoop of collagen powder and install it directly into your joints or your face. Your stomach breaks that powder down into individual amino acids. Then your body has to rebuild brand new collagen from scratch using specific raw materials. The three most critical materials in that process are silica, vitamin C, and sulfur. Nettle delivers all three in every single leaf. Start with silica because this is the piece almost nobody talks about. Before your body mineralizes bone, before calcium ever crystallizes into hard tissue, the body first builds a soft, flexible scaffold made entirely of protein. That scaffold is constructed from type 1 collagen. Think of it the way rebar works inside concrete. Without that internal framework, the finished bone has nothing to anchor to, and it is never as strong as it should be. Silica plays a direct role in building that scaffold. It activates the cells responsible for forming new bone and stimulates the production of the very collagen that holds everything together. And here is a detail worth pausing on. The stinging hairs on nettle leaves are literally constructed from silica. The plant builds its own defense system out of the same mineral your body uses to build bone and skin. That tiny glass needle that stings your hand is made of the same material your skeleton depends on. Vitamin C is the next piece. Nettle is naturally rich in it, and vitamin C is required at every single step of collagen synthesis in the human body. Without enough of it, the entire collagen production line shuts down. That is exactly what happens in scurvy. It is not a skin disease. It is a total collagen collapse throughout the body. Sulfur rounds out the trio by helping cross-link individual collagen strands into stronger, more resilient networks. Nettle provides sulfur naturally as part of its mineral profile alongside everything else. So step back and look at the full picture. Collagen powder gives your body fragments of a finished product and hopes your system can figure out what to do with the pieces. Nettle gives your body the actual factory equipment, the silica to build the scaffold, the vitamin C to drive the assembly, the sulfur to reinforce the strands, the calcium to fill in the final structure. That is not one supplement replaced. That is three working together the way they evolved to function inside a single leaf that costs nothing and comes back every year on its own. Now you know what this plant can do, but knowing is worthless unless you can grow it. So here's the part you have actually been waiting for: how to grow a permanent supply in one pot on your porch starting this week. If you have ever grown mint, you already understand the most important rule with spreading plants. Always use a container. Stinging nettle sends underground runners in every direction, just like mint. In open ground, a single plant can spread several feet in one growing season through those runners. That is fine for a wild meadow. It is a disaster for a raised bed where you are trying to grow tomatoes. A pot solves this completely and puts the harvest right at a comfortable working height. Start with a container that holds 10 to 20 gallons. A wide terracotta pot or a fabric grow bag both work well because they allow the roots to breathe. Make sure there are drainage holes at the bottom because nettle does not tolerate waterlogged soil. Fill the pot with rich loamy soil mixed with a generous amount of compost or well-rotted manure. Nettle is a heavy nitrogen feeder, and it will reward rich soil with bigger, darker, more mineral-dense leaves. If you have worm castings or fish compost, work some into the top few inches. Aim for a pH between 6.0 and 7.0. You can start from seed or from a wild root division. Seeds are tiny, so do not bury them deep. Press them gently onto the soil surface or cover with no more than a 1/4 inch of fine material. They need light to germinate. Keep the soil moist. Maintain a temperature around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and you should see sprouts pushing through within about 14 days. For a head start, sow seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. Use small seed starting trays. Keep them warm near a sunny window and transplant the seedlings into your outdoor pot once they are a few inches tall and the danger of hard frost has passed. Or skip the seed stage entirely by digging up a root division from a wild patch. Find nettle growing in a clean area away from roads and chemicals. Dig up a clump of root with some soil attached, wear thick leather gloves, and plant it directly into your container. For sunlight, nettle does well in full sun and partial shade. In hotter climates like southern Texas or central Florida, a spot with dappled afternoon shade keeps the leaves tender and prevents them from going tough. In cooler regions like Minnesota or the Pacific Northwest or upstate New York, full sun is ideal. Water about 1 inch per week during dry spells and keep the soil consistently moist but never soggy. If your plants start looking pale or yellow, a side dressing of compost or a splash of diluted fish emulsion every few weeks will bring the color right back. Here is the part that makes nettle truly exceptional for a container grower. It is a cold, hardy perennial that survives in USDA zones 3 through 10. That covers nearly every climate in the continental United States. When the first frost arrives in fall, the leaves and stems will yellow and die back, but the root system underneath stays alive. When spring returns, the plant pushes new growth right up through the soil without any help from you. You plant it once, it feeds you every single year after that, possibly for decades. Start harvesting roughly 80 to 90 days after sowing from seed. Wear thick gloves and long sleeves. Use sharp scissors or garden shears and cut only the top 4 to 5 inches of each stem. That is where the youngest, most tender, most nutritious leaves grow. After the first big harvest, cut remaining stems to about 4 inches above the soil line. This forces a fresh flush of new growth and gives you multiple harvests throughout the growing season. Cooking neutralizes the sting completely. 1 minute in boiling water, and the tiny glass hairs collapse and become totally harmless. From there, you can use nettle exactly like spinach. Saute it with garlic and butter, blend it into soups, stir it into pasta, make pesto, or dry the leaves and brew them into tea. Dried nettle stored in an airtight glass jar keeps for months. That jar becomes your year-round supply long after the growing season is over. One important thing to know, always harvest from clean soil. Never pick nettles from roadsides, near factories or industrial sites, or anywhere treated with herbicides. The plant pulls minerals from the soil very efficiently, and that includes pollutants if they are present. If you take blood-thinning medication or have kidney concerns, talk with your doctor before eating large amounts. Nettle is naturally high in vitamin K and oxalates. As a bonus, a pot of nettle on your porch or patio actually benefits everything else in your garden. It attracts between 200 and 400 species of beneficial insects and butterflies. It is a living pest management system working around the clock while quietly feeding you at the same time. So let us bring this all the way back to where we started. 3 bottles on your counter. Collagen, calcium, magnesium, and 1 single plant that delivers the building blocks behind all 3. No monthly refills, no prescription, no brand name, no middleman, just a perennial weed that returns every spring and has been feeding people since before the Bronze Age. The collagen supplement market alone is projected to reach somewhere around $64 billion by 2034. That kind of money does not get made by telling people that a free plant growing in their backyard does the same job. There is no profit in a weed that grows itself, and that is exactly why nobody told you about it. Your grandmother probably knew this plant. In villages across Nepal and Poland and southern Italy, grandmothers are cooking it tonight. The knowledge never disappeared. It was just quietly replaced by marketing, by convenience, by the slow creeping belief that if something does not come in a bottle with a barcode, it cannot possibly be real. But it is real. It has been real for over 3,000 years. The answer was in your yard the whole time. It just stung a little when you tried to throw it away. And do not forget, if you want to grow what the healthiest people on the planet are growing and start living like them, the Centenarian's Garden has got you covered. Go show them some love.